pressure is on. The #1 seed here, of course, for the LPL, and at risk of going out in Swiss. And especially with the draw that they had, it would be a colossal disappointment to see BLG exiting this early. Of course, the same is true for TES on the other side. You know, the LPL does expect to get all their teams through each time, you know, but generally there's that reputation of someone from the LPL kind of crashing out at Worlds, and no one wants to get painted by that brush. It was supposed to be IG. They're already gone. They had the excuse of, we had to play T1. Come on, guys.
Yeah. And for Top Esports as well, going 2-0 up and then losing 3 best-of-3s in a row to get knocked out is pretty devastating. Having only won 1 game out of 5 so far, 6 in fact. I can count that high. This will be the 7th game they've played in those best-of-3s.
Sion, the thumbs involved in that.
Yes, I do. Yeah. That's very important to me. Sion, Rise, Karma banned away by BLG, who picked the red side. LeBlanc and Bessa and Caitlyn banned away by Top Esports. And it is first pick Qiyana for Kanavi. Now, I am of the opinion that Kanavi is one of the best, if not the best, Qiyana players in the world. The problem with it is, you rarely get to see it on him because it is banned away from Top Esports all the damn time. So I love him on this champ. I think he's incredibly good. We've already talked about how strong he is in the early game. Gets himself ahead and then snowballs it to victories for Top Esports.
Yep, and we're going to have to see if he's going to be able to perform here on this Qiyana. Of course, the Qiyana, much less about the early game generally. It is more of one of those junglers that really just kind of power farms and looks to take over in these, you know, post-level 6 fights, generally speaking. But there is another powerhouse on the other side as far as those team fights are concerned. You're looking at the Wukong, you're looking at the Rakan. That is a very strong start to any team fight comp as the 1-2 over on the BLG side. And Karma has been banned out. Nico was already played earlier. Some of these really kind of like lane dominant supports that you might punish a Rakan with are already off the table.
Yeah, you could look for something like the Renata if you wanted, like just a bit more range. Go for a Corki Renata, look for that range damage. We already have the Corki locked in for Top Esports. Looks like Creme might be going towards the Annie, which is not something he impressed on too much in the LPL. Instead, maybe a little bit of engage potential with the Leona coming out for Hung.
Yeah, Annie has yet to win so far at Worlds.
Wow.
Has not looked impressive and has been losing all of the games, so definitely can be tough. Leona was kind of like that old school Rakan answer where it's like, oh, Rakan goes down, you know, goes in, you lock him down, point and click CC, try to burst them out, because Rakan has always been so reliant on being evasive, really. But it doesn't feel like, for a long time, I don't feel like it's really a counter. It's kind of maybe just an answer. I feel like all it tends to do in the 2v2 is really kind of make it passive, because the Rakan is not going to look for any sort of hard engage. You're just going to maybe give up the push, you know, and fish with those gleaming quills, just kind of keep your health high, and it kind of just becomes a bit of a farm fest. I do like when you've already seen Leona Qiyana, Xayah early. We saw it got banned out last time, so I think grabbing the Xayah early does make a lot of sense. Of course, you can try to like draft range in mid lane for Creme, but let's be honest, when you're pairing alongside the Qiyana, like you already are kind of deciding you're going to go in. Like there's got to be something to dive alongside that Qiyana. So I feel like regardless of what we see the soul laners be for TES, the Xayah should be quite effective.
Talia and Cassia, the next 2 bans, see that mid lane pool being pinched. Both the teams have their junglers and their bot side of the map already locked up, so top and mid is where we are likely to be. Wouldn't be surprised if Bin gets counter for top side here with Knight picking something blind, but you can of course do it the other way, say, oh well, we think Knight can dominate Creme more than Bin can dominate 369, who's been having a pretty good series so far.
I would tend to agree with the Knight getting the counter pick. I feel like he has been by far their best player at Worlds. I don't think it's even remotely close. So to me, if I'm going to go all in on one player, it's got to be Knight. I mean, even in the losses, I feel like he has been the guy that is the hope for the team. So I really would like to see them just index into him. I also feel like, let's be honest, what top lane matchups are even that abusive anymore? Like anything where you pick an extreme counter, you just get lane swapped on.
It's very true. Yeah, because in the past you could look for something like the Smolder and say, I'm just going to stack up on you, Ben, and you're playing AD
Ignite
carry.
Quinn, now you're laning against another AD carry, and you're like, you know, it's just like, the counter picks in top lane are very uninspiring at Worlds, thanks to lane swaps. So I feel like it's not an issue whatsoever. Galio is kind of interesting here. So Galio, of course, could go mid or top. Does follow up really, really well on the Wukong as well as the Rakan. We don't know what the matchups are going to be. I mean, if it's Mordekaiser, I think that you're probably just going to have to be sending it mid. I don't think you're really going to be wanting to play into that matchup. It does feel pretty rough. The other thing is, I mean, you can potentially pick 2 champions that are pretty good into it, but then you do risk getting really blasted by a counter, because one of the things that pros do sometimes like, if you're thinking about playing in mid lane, is things like Smolder, like you actually called back to, is just kind of free stacking off of it. But if you go Smolder, and then they move it top, and then you're playing into, you know, a Knight LeBlanc or something like that, then it's probably go home fast. So I don't think you're going to do that. I think you are just going to take this Mordekaiser here, assume that it's going to be going top, and then probably go for a more standard mid lane pick.
I mean, Creme could still look towards his Annie, although I wasn't too impressed. He does have a 66% win rate on it across the LPL summer season.
Are they going to do the Smolder I was talking about? Wow, they are.
That's the Smolder, yeah.
So this is, I think, a lot more risky, but maybe their read is that there's no way that Bin's going to play it, right? You know, if that's your read, then, hey, you're going to be able to get this mid lane matchup. Bin, though, of course, does get his choice of the counter. Jax is his iconic pick. It is the matchup that I definitely think can outscale and eventually start to win out against that Mordekaiser. But I also just kind of like the Mordekaiser in isolation when you're thinking about the team fight, because there's a lot of different ways you can actually have success with this. You know, Wukong goes in to throw down the Cyclone. As Wukong's engaging, Mordekaiser just ults it, takes it out of that fight, you know, kind of remove the ult from the fight. Similar things can happen to the Jax. Jax hops in with Counter-Strike, ready to get in on your backline. Ulted, taken away.
Rakan, Galio. If you're in the lane with the Galio and he's trying to hero his entrance in, you chuck that Death Realm on him and he's unable to join up with the rest of his team. I love it. I think it's a really solid pick. It's whether or not it can be as effective as you want, because you do need those quick trigger reflexes if you're going to stop people finding the true engagers in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be so interesting because it does feel like there's a lot of lane-focused picks, you know, over on one side. You know, when you're looking at the TES comp, you have these things that are supposed to be answers. They're kind of trying to put Knight in a difficult situation here with the Smolder, which I do really like in isolation, but then you have Smolder and Corki paired with this Qiyana. That kind of feels like you have you're a bit of 2 different minds. Of course, Corki can still poke, and Smolder can like ult over the top on an engage. It's not like it can't work at all, but it does feel a little bit disjointed to me. That wouldn't be like, if you knew this was your other 4, you wouldn't have picked Qiyana, I don't think, right?
I agree.
And so they are sacrificing something as far as how cohesive the comp is to focus on the lane matchups. So now you have to get something out of the lane matchups, in my opinion. Otherwise, you look over at the other side, and Knight may not be on a hard carry, but the comp just is so easy to see what they're going to do.
So nice front to back as well. With the wombo combo, you go in, you lock up the back line, Hero's Entrance on top of it, Counter-Strike on top of it, Quickness on top of it, Featherstorm as well if the Xayah ever gets jumped on. Like, BLG's comp is stock standard. Top Esports comp is, maybe we can burst a guy and kill them and win the lanes, you know? Yeah,
and also, it's not like you just have to, but we have to get through everyone to get on the Corki. No, you can go on the Qiyana. You can go on the Corki. You can go on the Smolder. You can really just like press your buttons. Any of them is fine. You can lock them down, burst them down. So is a lot of power there over on the BLG side. We'll see, can TES really create some differences here? I also feel like though Smolder, of course, you know, you do still have a lot of power as far as the scaling. It's pushed pretty far back, and the scaling is nowhere near. I think people still have not adjusted to like the nerfs that happened forever ago, where you know you used to be able to actually increase the threshold for execution. Now it just increases the true damage burn. It doesn't actually ever go up as far as the threshold for the execution, and so I don't think it's just like auto win late game like people used to talk about it. But of course, you know, especially if you go through some of the more aggressive builds, like if you go Essence, Reaver, Rapid Fire, IE. When you're on 3 items and you're on 225, you just press Q every time Rapid Fire is up, and you are poking them down. You become a real threat, and you can force bad engages by putting on that pressure.
For the moment, we don't see any of those major lane swaps coming out from either teams. Both the junglers starting on the bottom side of the map as they'll work their way towards the top side. Do have a 100% win rate on red side this series, so see if BLG can continue that form on his Rakan as well. 79 and 29 on this pick. Rakan has just been ubiquitous with great supports over the last few years. The heal and the Gleaming Quill have to be used. Hung and JackeyLove getting the early push. A good phosphorus bomb at the end there from JackeyLove to get Elk down below half HP.
Yeah, Phos Bomb at level 1 is just Exalt. That thing you cannot get hit by. That feels like it just absolutely cooks you. So now On going to be trying to hit some of these Qs. Hopefully we'll be able to help heal up Elk to just keep them comfortable in this lane. Of course, you touched on Rakan, but Bin on his Jack 68 and 29 career and 369. Known for his Mordekaiser as well, 17 and 4 on the pick.
Yeah, last played it in the grand finals against Bin though on Kasante and went 2-7-1, losing that game. So in recent memory, 369.
He was calibrating.
Oh yeah, sure, that was it. Yeah, it's just, oh, I just need one game in a month and a half before we meet again at Worlds, which is a randomized draw.
Yeah. You're baiting him into a false sense of security.
That's smart.
Run it down in the LPL finals to knock him out in Swiss of Worlds. you gotta think a couple steps ahead here, Medic.
Yeah, I'm not as giga-brained as 369 apparently.
Well, that much is clear.
Good damage though coming out from the top esports bot lane. JackeyLove with that level 3 first. Creme just stacking up. And you get to that 225 is the mark you really want to look for the Smolder.
But honestly, like, I play a lot of solo lane Smolder. I think it's a lot of fun. To me, it's like, obviously the 225 is the goal, but one of the reasons that you get so much faster into these melee matchups is
Barrier coming out from JackeyLove. Elk looking for the blade call, doesn't quite land the root onto JackeyLove, but does onto Hung.
But it's just the idea that each breakpoint actually accelerates the next breakpoint so much, right? Once you get 25, all of a sudden you're AoE stacking off all their minions, but he can be in trouble.
Taunt onto Creme, has to flash away. Beichuan looking for the chase. Red buff slow, not enough. Flash for flash exchange there between Beichuan and Creme.
Yeah, Beichuan, thought he might have had enough damage, didn't have the calculation correct there. As it's 369 TPing down. This is what they did in the Lucian game as well to kind of bail out, Jackie and give him this preferential lane setup. But that is, a flash kind of for nothing from Beichuan because he had already gotten the flash out of the Smolder, couldn't finish off Creme. But once you get to 25, you start AoE stacking all the minions so fast. Then that really speeds you up towards the 125. And once you have 125, it's kind of unavoidable because you're just getting splashed through the minions. Yeah. Anytime you go for any last hit, he doesn't even have to queue you anymore. He's just queuing the wave, and you're going to get stacked on. So every little bit you get really accelerates that next breakpoint, and 369 being very annoying with that.
Really nice timing as well, because Bin has already TP'd down towards the bottom side, just so he's collecting this wave, which means there's going to be no one on the top side for a while. As you say, JackeyLove might just be able to pick up a solo plate, could go for a little bit of vision. This wave, it is a cannon wave. You're going to lose one minion, probably the cannon, and another, maybe even 4 minions off this wave.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. He's even going to Valk the wave to be able to get a fast reset off the back of this if he wants. So not only do you actually get the wave, you deny the cannon, you get the plate. So like that right there is almost a kill worth of gold that you just earned for your team. So it's one of these things that doesn't seem immediately obvious, but that's 300 gold ahead now for JackeyLove, and I think that's often earned by 369. Like, he deserves credit for that.
He did a huge job in that bot side. It's a whole level of experience lead as well for JackeyLove over Elk as Hung and Kanavi here team up to try and steal away these Razor Beaks. You talked about the power farming of the Qiyana. If you can get into that enemy jungle and take away some of these camps, it just gets you scaled up that much more quickly. Kanavi running the first strike here on the Qiyana, something he loves to do for that extra gold, for that extra acceleration towards his lethality items. Profane Hydra often when we look first.
Yep, obviously is something that's going to help accelerate, but also the upfront burst. So much of your damage comes out during that first strike window, so it's not just about the gold. It really is a powerful damage rune later on in the game where that percentage damage amp can mean quite a lot when all of a sudden your combo is doing 1,000, 2,000 damage. A couple of percent is significant. So definitely is a powerful rune there. Creme, of course, picked up a call on that first base, so he is just scaling, looking to play this out.
Playing a dragon and scaling. Good one, Zell.
Yeah, thank you.
It's not too tough at all in that mid lane right now.
It's off to a smoldering start, if you will.
Good one, good one. Bin lands the stun onto 369. Not really much going to happen down towards this bottom side. Goal basically even between the two teams in the early game. There is a Drake up. We saw a ping coming out on it from BLG. We'll see if Beichuan decides that is his first objective. Has push in the bot side. Won't be able to get it in mid because there's a Smolder on the other side. On's going to land a knock up here into the blade caller. The damage on JackeyLove is massive. Flash shield of Daybreak from Hong into the Eclipse, just trying to walk his way away. Saves his AD carry's life, but JackeyLove now sitting at 200 HP. Does have Kanavi coming across, and Creme could
He's level 6.
Flap his way in as well. As you say, Elk not yet level 6. Doesn't have that Feather Storm. Kanavi's going to cut the wave. Creme wants to call in a bit of assistance, has Mom on the end of a telephone. Meanwhile, Knight moving across with that Hero's Entrance. Drake secure for Beichuan. Now Top Esports know they have a man advantage, a numbers advantage. Here's the Hero's Entrance. Supreme Desire talent flashed away by Elk, and Hung is hung out to dry underneath the tower. Good double taunt as well. They'll look for Kanavi. Next, he's down. Knight makes them kneel, but the turnaround from Creme is huge. On jumps in the Gleaming Quill. Elk will fall. Creme takes a tower shot. The Winds of War not enough to blow him over. Top Esports initiate the dive. lose a 2-for-1 and lose a Drake.
That's no Knight. That man is a king. Moves up to the top side to turn it around. But honestly, so bold from TES to go for the dive, knowing that he was coming. He walked across vision. They knew that Galio was going to be there. And it felt like they kind of overestimated how quickly they would be able to get this kill. BLG's bot lane delayed it for so long. Hong goes in, they started off, with the Smolder up, but the Galio ult is there at the very beginning, and you can only get in onto the Rakan. He kites it out really, really well. Then Knight flashes forward. Elk is there to follow it up. They do get some kills back here. And you have to remember, Wukong was taking the dragon in the meanwhile, was stealing the enemy camps in the meanwhile. So it's not an even number play. Even though it didn't look like that bad, it's everything that's happening on the other side of the map that really makes it hurt. And I just kind of am shocked that TES fully committed to it.
TOPESPORTS now with 5 players up towards this Grubs. TOPESPORTS got one. Bin jumps in with the counter-strike, does get the stun onto Hong, on down to half HP, flash away from Bin, death grip onto Beichuan. They're going to be able to get a kill at the feet of Strength Warfare. In fact, goes over to BLG, they look for the Grub as well. In the end, a 2-for-1 exchange in the Grubs. TOPESPORTS have lost a man, and JackeyLove has to Valk across the wall. It will be a 1-for-0 exchange in favor of BLG.
And look at Knight, early Sork boots on the Galio. This man wants to get aggressive. And when a team on the other side has so many squishy members, you can do a lot of damage on this Galio. We often see kind of like tanky AP or one AP item, into full tank. So we'll see exactly where he wants to go with this build. But Knight is definitely not afraid to go full glass cannon if he thinks it is appropriate.
He's the guy that builds Darkseal into Medjay's at every opportunity, right? This guy knows exactly how much damage you can put out on every champion. At the moment, the only lead for TOPESPORTS is down on JackeyLove in that bot lane. 120 gold, his advantage, but BLG ticking over to about 300, 400 gold in totality as their lead. Beichuan just going to be able to farm up his own jungle as Hong looks for a little bit of vision. It's much ado about nothing you have to feel, just trying to track people. No neutrals to fight over, no camps on this top side to fight over. They might look for a dive onto Bin, who has no flash. No Grandmaster's Might for him either. The plate's going to go over to 369. Hex flash forward from Hong. Bin needs to find a way to escape. He blocks the Shield of Daybreak with the counter-strike. Perfectly played from Bin. Now needs to run away. Zenith Blade tickles his toes, but doesn't quite connect.
I mean, beautifully timed by Bin, but I feel like as TES, you're the team that has time on the dive. You don't need to force. You just need to walk up, stand on his head as Leona, and wait till he presses E. Then once it's down, the dive is free, right? So you have to play around that counter-strike. Instead, he kind of played that dangerous game where it is a bit of a flip. Bin anticipates it perfectly, and now it's JackeyLove under pressure on this bot side. He's looking like he's going to be the one getting dove.
Beichuan has the Cyclone now. They should just go for him straight away, but with the teleport coming out, they decide against it. Hong got that off the unsealed spellbook. He'll TP in. And because of that, and with Kanavi backing him up, should be just BLG backing away.
Creme now, farming quite well, and also over 100 stacks here already at 10 minutes. So he is at a really good pace. Of course, this does generally just accelerate, again, as you get further and further on into the game. Once you hit Essence Reaver, you are just trading infinitely. Been nice little trade, but Creme still getting some more stacks and should be A-okay with Kanavi here to cover.
Interesting to see Knight's the one who's matching into that Mordekaiser on the top side. Bin is actually going to match into the Smolder.
I think the idea is just that you don't want the Smolder getting free stacks off of Knight, and he's going to have less threat. That's at least kind of my read on it right now. So you're sacrificing Knight's lane, but trying to really keep down Creme. I think that's probably their main concern is like, all right, how does the other team win? Maybe it's Smolder getting super accelerated. And Creme does have his Essence Reaver now, still working away on that 125, but he's going to be there very, very quickly.
He is. For the moment, we have a brief second before we get into what is likely to be the next fight. Drake coming up. It's an alternator for BLG, for Knight on this Galio.
Some games he is BLG.
Yeah, often he is BLG.
You didn't misspeak.
It's true, it's true. That Rocket Belt, a possibility. Kanavi, oh, good route, but Beichuan going in with the Cyclone. There's the hero's entrance. A brief display of talent and the flash used by Kanavi to get away. But Creme, the next target. Cyclone secondary, going to get the knock. Winds of War, not enough again. That's Smolder, able to survive through the Winds of War a couple of times in a row now. JackeyLove covering mid as On comes across. The Drake is up for BLG, and they might just walk Beichuan around the corner to go and get it.
At the end of the day, it's a trade of flashes for the junglers, trade of ults, and then you also got Knight's ult, and you got a really nice chunk of HP down onto Creme. So they're going to try to utilize that to turn it into the Dragon. Because cooldowns-wise, they did lose out, but HP-wise, they definitely won, and that is going to put them on a 2-0 Dragon lead here. which is starting to feel a little bit like game one, you know, when you're starting to think back. It's been a lot about these dragon stacking games, you know, control, forcing your opponents to take these fights they're not necessarily ready for. And they're going to see if second try works better here against Bin.
Yeah, no teleports to support Bin here. On does have the quickness and he's on his way across. Kanavi caught out. There's the counter-strike solar flare. On coming in, gets the quickness down, but Bin's already dead. Hung has to flash away. Meanwhile, underneath the tower, 369 is chasing on out, obliterates him. Jackie with the flash auto's enough. It's 2 for naught for TS.
Nicely done there by TES. This time they make it work, and not only do they kill Bin, they're going to deny a lot of CS. They're going to knock down this tower very likely as well. Try to play for this first turret. They kill off on Elk, can't even get there. So a lot of resources committed to this side. You can see Creme playing very defensive down on the bot side, knows he is going to be on his own. So he's just sitting in that tri-brush, making sure that the Wukong couldn't come in behind him. And now a lot of question mark pings over by that red buff, but it is already gone. We can see this dive one more time. This time, 369 and Kanavi do a pretty good job of kind of softening him up before they really fully commit into the dive. He's already missing a third of his HP. Kanavi goes in, really big chunk of damage, even though the Zenith Blade misses, even though the Shield of Daybreak is counter-struck once more. Hung can flash out, and the extra members do allow them to finish off. Jackie does have to spend his flash, so does 369, but they secure the kills, they get the tower, and as a result, it is going to come down to these objectives for feats because BLG already won the feat of warfare. They're only one of these objectives off, whereas TES would need to get the next two.
Herald up in 50 seconds. That will be the first point of call for both of these teams. 2,000 gold lead now, though, for Top Esports. Blue across the board, down on the bottom of that scoreboard, and 369. Perhaps that game in Grand Finals was just the bait. Set him up, now has the Riftmaker 1-0-1 on this Mordekaiser, forcing Bin away.
And we did get the Rocket Bell here for Knight, so definitely looking for a very aggressive option, whether or not he'll go into just like Zhonya's kind of tanky AP from here, or if he'll go into more traditional tank. I feel like if you're going Proto Belt, you're probably just going Zhonya's second, and you're just really putting that upfront damage in, which can be quite a lot. Also, like that On did go for the Mikhails here. I do feel like when you look over, it's Hong and then no one for the engage. So if you're just fishing with that Leona ult, and you can just be able to have cleanse on your Xayah plus that Mikhails.
The quickness follow-up. Supreme Display's hand coming out, but the counter-strike from Bin is enough to get one. They'll look for Hung as the second. Knight teleports in, Hung falls, 2 quick kills for BLG. The Rift held there for them, that will be feats.
Nicely done by BLG, really quick play, nets them a couple kills and gets them feats, as you said. And even though they are down in gold, I'm really favoring their position here once again. I feel like they're in a good spot. Feats is going to be a decent amount of combat power. They're going to get the Herald, which is likely going to result in a tower. But Creme is getting farmed here, just continuing to try to scale up. 163 stacks right now. Bin going to be looking for him, though.
Triforce, Creme does have the flash and has that flap. Counter-strike out. Creme's going to get stunned. Grandmaster's might coming. Where you going, Creme? Back to your teammate. Mom there for a bit of a heal, but Bin slapping him as he gets the solo kill. 369 here to join Elk, trying to bolster the defenses of Bin as they get another counter-strike down. On dashing around, Bin knows he's going to die. He's in the Death Realm, and 369 will hit him across the face with a mace to even it out 1-for-1.
Still great play from Bin. The red buff, I believe, finishing off Creme there. And you get the flash off the Smolder, which is critical.
And you get the Rift Hold in mid lane because all of Top Esports were dragged down towards that bottom side to try and react. That will even out a bit of this gold deficit that BLG found themselves in. Is down to 1K from about 2K a minute ago.
Yep, really good moves here. Now Knight just going to use the Escape Herald to try to drive it down towards bot, but it will be finished off there by Kanavi. But you can see Elk already pushing in towards that tower. Assist pings from TES as they want to try to defend it, but feels like they're probably just too late already because BLG members are hovering.
Hong looking for Knight, who has to flash. Respects the fact that 369 was coming across. His jungler and his top laner are all the way on the top side of the map. On here can grand entrance and make a quick exit with the battle dance.
I mean, they got all 5 down here, so TES needs to get something because Bin is going to be the inevitable problem. There's no TP, so no one can answer Bin.
Oh, On gets the flank onto Creme here. Elk looking for the damage. Death Grip not going to connect. Solar Flare down, lands the stun onto On, but Rakan not really the target that you want. He still has the quickness. Meanwhile, Top Esports continue to push in for the tier 1 on the bot side. Redemption being used. Supreme Display Titan does catch onto Elk, and he cleanses and Featherstorms away. The charm from On under the tower means absolute destruction for BLG. They find 2. They land a taunt on 369 as well. The tower still stands, but 369 tanks it up. In the end, a 3-for-2 exchange, but Bin continues to push in a side lane.
Yeah, Bin wasn't even there. It was a 5v3 for a while, and then the Wukong arrives. It's still a 4v5. Meanwhile, Bin is just getting so much gold up on that top side. TES kind of painted themselves into a corner. They all moved down towards bot to try to prevent Elk from taking that tower, and then they realized, all right, we've got 5 members here. We've got no TPs. We need to force, but there's no objective, so it had to be a dive. And it's BLG, again, first towards this dragon. 369 is in the area. We'll see if they can contest. You really don't want to give up Soul Point here.
Yeah, you got to try and fight it, but Bin comes in with a counter-strike. Now 369 isolated. Kanavi's going to try and jump across this wall, puts down the control wall for a little bit of vision, but On goes in with the grand entrance, looking for that knock-up, hits the Gleaming Quill. Kanavi jumps in, Kanavi gets it, steals it, pays for it with his life, but he delays the soul, and that is what Top Esports needed from him.
Yeah, that is well worth it for Kanavi. I think that is a massive steal from him. Cloud Soul is insanely strong, especially for a lot of these champions in particular. You cannot be giving that over. Ong is going to have to spend the ulti just to try to get away here from Knight, who is going towards that zone, as I expected, has the Seekers ready. So that big playmaking tool. Now all of a sudden, Beichuan or Bin throw themselves in the backline. Galio comes over the top, can do so much upfront damage, then go into the Seekers and really create this zone of control, buy the space for Elk to do his work.
Cyclone used by Beichuan there just to make sure that he walks away from 369 safely. Talked about the ability for Kanavi to power farm on this Qiyana, but dying there at the Drake loses his entire bot side jungle. It's a great steal from him. Waits out the grand entrance, uses audacity to jump across the wall, and then manages to land a smite. But after you go in there, you know you're done for.
Yeah, absolutely going to be giving your life, but at least he didn't have to spend his flash or anything like that. And just goes in, trades his life for the one dragon. Still in a really difficult position. BLG, I feel like, are definitely the ones in control here. But there is playmaking. And there is hope because you've delayed that soul, you've bought time. Creme is going to have 225 by the time you fight Dragon next, so maybe you can take a real fight then. He has gone for Shojin, which is kind of more that like a little bit bruisery or a little bit more tanky. Of course, if you can continually get out spells, it starts to stack up, works pretty nicely. Usually when people go Shojin, they still want rapid fire, which doesn't mean your IE is super delayed, and your kind of consistent damage is a lot lower as a result, but it is a faster spike than the IE rapid fire style build. So Creme's still going to be really, really strong. Next wave, he has that 225. And then that really does, once you get the rapid fire, put a lot of pressure on your opponents because you kind of just start having your team stand around you. You walk up, every time rapid fire is there, you cue someone, splash through the team.
Yep.
Exactly. And you start to really rot them down. You force them to look for engages, and TS are trying to do just that. I wonder if they had vision of this Wukong recall, because no one's here.
Teleport. He's going to TP up towards the top side, as is Knight. The other can down to 10,000 HP, but Top Esports going to back away from it for now. Pull it up towards this top side. Creme standing on that front line. It's hit 224, needs one more. Gets it with 225. Now has that burn. The Rakan down to 3,000. On looking for the quickness. Doesn't land it on anyone. Has to dive onto 369. The Hero's Entrance coming out as Kanavi secures the Rakan. 369 standing in the middle of them all. Elk with a Feather Storm trying to pull back with the Blade Caller. Beichuan almost down. 369 falls first, but Creme is flapping his way onto the backline. Has to flash away. Bin dives forward with a flash of his own into the pit. But Top Esports are coming out on top. In the end, though, Bin finds Creme. Now it's all on Jackie. The bot lane's the only ones alive. Top Esports will claim the fight as they get the Rakan, but it was goddamn even through it all.
It was an insane fight here. And 369 to me was a real hero. Look at this. He forces out the Galio ult, then goes into an ult of his own, completely immuning it, negating that entire thing by himself. And look at the space he's creating. We talked about their lack of frontline. 369 says, you shouldn't have counted me out. And then Creme just goes all the way in, but this stasis from Knight plus a CC means Bin can flash in and finish him off. And then Bin very nearly had the 1v2. Jackie had to flash in the pit just to help him there as Elk and On are winning out on the other side. This is a game of inches. Absolutely insane fight there.
I mean, it's also Hung having the time to hex splash across the wall when you have a Blade Caller and a grand entrance from the Xayah and Rakan that had been used. Couldn't get the knock up onto him. 500 gold the difference between the two teams. A Cloud Drake and an Rakan for Top Esports with 2 grubs. A Mountain and an Infernal and the Feats of Warfare for BLG. A 12 petal difference equates to about 700 gold or so. Nothing too consequential yet for Top Esports.
Yep, and we saw that Seekers being used, but no problem, because Knight has the Zhonya's. He bought it right after that fight, so it is going to be up and available, but definitely the danger of using a defensive ult on 369. You really can't go for that because he'll just press R of his own. He's going to avoid that completely. You kind of want to be using it aggressively, you know, with Honor Beichuan onto Creme or Jackie. That's really what they are looking for here. So I didn't love the way that BLG played it out, but still, it's going to be about this next Dragon fight here. TES taking position in the river, pushing up mid lane first, clearing out these wards now, and they are going to be pretty tough to walk into.
It's what Top Esports do so well. Their objective control, their setup, some of the best in the LPL. We saw it at the Rakan pulling BLG to have to force those double TPs. 369 looking for the damage onto Beichuan, but he's going to pop the decoy to get away. Death Grip out as well. Won't find its connection. BLG playing for this mid lane wave. JackeyLove coming across towards Knight, puts down the Gatling gun and hits a few autos. Creme still stacking up 250 now on that passive. Bin trying to clear out a bit of control, but can't get rid of that control ward. They do still have a ward in the pit. BLG pushing further forward here, looking for as many flank positions as possible.
Yeah, neither team having the confidence to start it up. Knight now getting very chunked.
Beichuan just has to flash away. Hung flashes for the Solar Flare. Nimbus strike from Beichuan onto the minion wave, arriving just in time to save his life. On dashes from the Zenith Blade, but you feel it's starting to swing. Top Esports, they're finding that rot damage, that poke damage, and it's BLG who are being pulled all ways to Sunday.
Yeah, I think that's earned them the Dragon. You can see the double recalls coming through. Knight even gets interrupted. He could be in some trouble, but will be able to jump out to safety. Now for sure, they should be starting this off. They will have time for the Wukong to maybe get back in the area, but Knight has no TP. I don't think there's any real reason to try to contest this, but Bin is still sitting in a dangerous position, and maybe they're going to try to look for something afterwards. Bin positioning to try to maybe catch Creme as he does walk down.
I like it because you also have Beichuan coming in from the top side here. There's the TP, they go into Creme. Cyclone down, Bin can't get in range for the counter-strike. Creme's going to flap his way across the wall. Supreme display of talent, doesn't find anyone. Mom's going to heal him up now. His outfit is Creme up towards the top side. 369 on Beichuan in the Death Realm. Will get him. El's going to get one. 1-for-1 exchange so far as Bin dives onto the backline. Hung trying to retreat from Knight, but 369's there to help him out. Knight's going to flash into the pit. Kanavi caught out by Bin and on no range for them, but the counter-strike just short. Kanavi, can he escape? Knight has that flank. His team has given up the ghost on him. He tries to dive onto Elk, but for it, he just dies. A 2-for-1 for BLG, but how close are these fights?
They are really crazy. These fights are so intense. Bin just waiting around for so long, was not on vision. They go for this engage onto Creme, but Creme honestly has a really great positioning, flaps over the wall, avoiding pretty much everyone except for the flanking Elk. Xayah comes in, great pullback on the feathers to be able to finish him off, but at the same time, 369 has already beat down your Wukong, taking him out. And JackeyLove, he's the backup AD carry. He's still alive and still firing. And it does mean Kanavi is kind of hung out to dry, but it is still the Dragon going to TES. Another close fight. The gold remains practically dead even. We are just in for such a treat here. This final game between two of the best teams the LPL has to offer is really delivering.
And you're really seeing a part of what Top Esports are trying to do in some of these fights, which is pull them around, try and separate them, because we talked about it in draft. They don't have this traditional front to back, we stand behind an all and walk forward and let our Smolder do all the work. You've got Mord putting someone in the Death Realm, you've got Leona looking for a stun on the other side, you've got Corki flying across, Kanavi trying to stun someone up. Whereas BLG haven't quite found that more traditional front to back. You don't just have the Wukong engage into a hero's entrance, which is what you want, and you have to give credit for Top Esports for not allowing that.
They're surrounding
looking
him.
for it now. On's going to get caught up towards the top side, dashes away, has that Gleaming Quill, TP in, as well as Bin goes in for the counter strike. He lands it onto Kanavi. Supreme Decided Talent's going to get him stunned. The Cyclone from Beichuan. JackeyLove's already killed off on. And Top Esports just immediately turn it around. Beichuan trying to swing around with a Cyclone, but it's a Tempest for BLG. Now 2 for 2. Elk on the back foot. Knight gets caught in the Justice Punch. Elk flashes, finds the root, finds the Feather Storm. Jackie answers. Jackie flashes in. JackeyLove for Top Esports. Pulls it from beyond the grave.
JackeyLove finds the moment here in the mid lane. Bin goes for the massive engage. Look to try to find a multi-man counter-strike here, but TES are able to hold on here. There's just too many threats, it feels like, on TES. Look at Bin flashing forward into the midst of everyone, getting that counter-strike down, but he's pushed back. and Jackie and Creme, they are free firing. And from here, it looks like it is absolutely cooked for BLG until Elk finds an incredible fight, knocking down multiple members, and then here on the side, goes forward, flashes for the pullback onto Creme, knocks down the Smolder, but Jackie still has resources. Barrier there, flash forward, knocks them both down, earns TES the Baron, and the first significant lead, and look at the heartbreak there on the faces of the BLG members. Shadow distraught as his team loses what could be the game-deciding fight.
It really could. The Baron secured for Top Esports. Hung, JackeyLove, and Kanavi have it. I'm not sure if 369, yes he did, came up in time to take it too. Now with the Red Bull Baron power play 2K already collected by Top Esports. Looking for vengeance from the LPL finals, where they went down in 5-2-3. For BLG, the story's the same. The book has been written. The engagers, if you find them onto this backline, it does work. You have a cycle, you counter-strike, hero's entrance, quickness, you have all of these tools. But Top Esports' ability to split, ability to scatter when that engage comes out, has been sublime so far.
And I have to give so much credit to Kanavi, 369, and Hong, who are making that job so hard. They're saying, yeah, you want to engage? I am walking into you. I am hitting you as you are trying to get close to my carries. You cannot just walk up for free and flash on them. You will take damage. You will get punished. And if you try to go for that engage and you fail, even just by a pixel, Creme and Jackie will make you pay for it. They are just destroying them at this point, as the third item is through for both of them. Now that rapid fire I talked about is there. The game is 10 times easier to play, it feels like, as Smolder. Once you have that third item, you get the rapid fire, you are just laughing at him.
Take a breath, we'll take a moment. Cloud Drake's up, will only be third for Top Esports. No soul for them yet, but I'm pretty sure they're happy with the extra movement speed they're getting out of these three clouds. The ability just to dodge and dip around the fight. And now, they will be on Soul Point. 4,000 gold their lead for BLG. A 2024 that was so close but so far. 2 finals, weren't quite able to take it over the finish line. Now a 25 that has been up and down, to say the least. Managing to pick up the win in the summer finals, but being eliminated before even making it to quarters here in China, in your home country, will be a disappointment. Hung, Zenith play dodged away with the battle dance. On takes a super scorcher breath back into the rest of his team.
I mean, especially when you're looking at the strength of schedule for them. They played 100 Thieves, Fnatic, G2, and then BKS.
Yeah.
People would think that is easily 3 wins and you're out.
Beichuan goes in, Hung the target here as Entrance coming out. Hung was already going to flash away. Creme trying to put the damage down on, tries to get in with the engage. Solar player cleansed away by Elk, but look at how low BLG already are. Elk is going to be able to retreat for now. Top Esports continue to push in. 369 looks for the flash death grip, doesn't get it through the decoy. Top Esports on the advance.
Yeah, 369 short change to E there, misposition on his cursor, so it didn't actually fully extend, but it doesn't matter. They take the tier 2. They're going to crack the inhibitor towers here. You can see assist pings are deep. They're going to try to look for a TP play here. Bin's trying to find an angle.
Notice Hung doesn't have the TP, the flash. Counter-strike out, Bin gets exhausted immediately. Knight looks for that flank. Bin with a stopwatch, ongoing in, grand entrance. Meanwhile on the top side, 369 the target for Elk. Hung's already down, Bin looking for a re-engage, dives in onto JackeyLove, that's 2! Bin's doing it, Knight flashes away, but Kanavi dives in. On with a battle dance, the counter-strike from Bin will get 1! 369 down, it's a triple for Bin! He's looking for more! Make it 4 for BLG! Somehow they hold on!
BLG hold the line against the odds here. It looked like TES was about to wrap it up, but BLG saying no. You will go no further. They're able to find the angle here. Hung was already low. Bin just forces the issue, goes straight in. Beichuan as well as Onward threatening Jackie as Knight TP'd in. And look at Elk over the wall the whole time. Elk has such beautiful positioning. 369 only finds the ult onto a Wukong, and he can't even hit him during it. He's over the wall. Elk is untouched. The solo laner's getting so much work done here for BLG as Elk gets pulled in, but flashes back. Bin and Beichuan just bouncing back and forth, and then that feather pull catches the Smolder, knocks him down, and BLG, they're not dead yet.
I was having Bin on Suning flashbacks. I had that Fiora Penta in my head right there. When you need him, Bin stands up. He's had a quiet world so far. It's been Knight who's put the team on his back, but now Bin with a quadra, 3k gold lead for him, doesn't matter too much. Has the frozen heart, 3 items on Beichuan, Knight at 2.
You can see Jackie has that shield bow, so going to be even harder to knock down. Critically, Creme, no IE yet. Really wants to get towards that. And Elk has just been playing stellar in these team fights. He is on 4 full items, has the Infinity Edge. And he's going to have to do so much of the heavy lifting. He is the consistent damage for the team. It's up to the others to create space, but he must capitalize on those opportunities. And if he mispositions, he's going to be instantly dead against a comp with this many threats. But look at BLG. Threatening a potential flank. If TS move up here, they might just go.
The strike, they dive in immediately. Hero's Entrance coming out as well. Kanavi able to flash away with the supreme display of talent. 369 on that front line, catches out Beichuan. He's putting the Cyclone. JackeyLove trying to Gatling gun through Beichuan, and he'll find him. Bin jumps back in on there with the quickness. He gets 2 with the Grand Entrance. Hung trying to escape. The dive in from Bin again as he chases them down. Counter-strike out, only finds the Leona stunned up, and he's going to dive further forward. Mikhail's, Sonya's, can Bin jump out? He dives back in somehow. The counter-strike enough to keep him alive through the orders, and the Gatling gun Knight's going to retreat. Top Esports now on the front foot, a man down though.
What a close fight there. You thought Creme might have taken over, but he couldn't finish it off. It's blinking health bars. It's been just juggling it so incredibly well, going forward with the Counter-Strike into the stasis. Counter-Strike back up again, creating incredible amounts of space for his team. Bin is showing why his name is synonymous with Jax. He is known for this champion, the best Jax in the world. This guy is just insane when he is playing at his best. And he is stepping up in the moment when BLG needs him most. But it is 20 seconds until a potential Cloud Soul. TES has claimed the last 3 Cloud Dragons in a row. And that is going to be the test. If you thought it was hard for them to find engages now, give over that Cloud Soul. You are probably both never finding the engage and never getting away after a failed engage.
Just never be able to escape. For Top Esports, like, you can see what the comp is meant to do. Catch out the engage with that Death Realm, then just allow the Corki and the Smolder to spit out damage to engulf their opponents. But BLG have been so good at stepping back, and once again, Beichuan is looking for that flank position. The Cloud Drake begun by Top Esports. Beichuan looks for the Cyclone. It's a category 5, but he's knocked into the wall. The Drake secured soul. But Top Esports, they begin to retreat. Mom comes down, Creme finds 1. Beichuan going out, and Elk has been slain. It's hunting season for Creme. He finds 2. Jackie adds another. Top Esports find the fight, and they'll march down the bot lane.
Beichuan looked for the engage, but Kanavi instantly denies it, stuns him into the wall, and seals their fate. Top have done it.
Top won't go through the bottom lane. They'll go through the LPL champions. They'll go through to the quarterfinals. Top by name, top by nature. In the battle of the LPL, TES rises victorious and makes it to quarters.
What a battle. To me, that's the best game of Worlds thus far.
That was so fun.